Oh, yeah. Wilson Smallmouth. There we go. Nice Bone Creek fish there. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Idle Zone Syndicate. We're coming to you live from Kansas Bass Nation. Special guest co-host tonight, Mr. Travis Burch from Lady Bass and World Fishing Tour. Travis, welcome.
And you see, I put KB in question mark, right?
Well, yeah, we'll get into that.
His accolades could maybe just keep going. You're just not sure yet.
And since we like to pick on each other, that's kind of the basis for the whole show. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you if you started a new business this week.
Maybe. More of investing stuff, but yeah, definitely investing into some other options.
Well, okay.
Options are good.
Yep.
Kister, do you have one of these shirts?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, good. Then I'll keep it on. All right.
I'm not sure where Lucas, Kansas is at.
That's where I'm from.
I'm more of a four-state region kind of guy.
I know. We've heard Yates Center is the end of the horizon for you. That's the
right.
western horizon.
Wellington, actually. I'll go
Wellington also.
Yates Center, Wellington, all the way to Kansas City and circle back around.
Okay.
Yep.
Good to know. Dennis, what's up? There's Dennis Buck already tonight. So, Elite Series at Champlain.
That was a good one.
That was a really good one. I liked watching Kid Rock. I always like watching Kid Rock. Robertson. He's a trip, man. That big old mullet, back in a ponytail. And it was rolling down the bank on day 3, and I just about needed to touch myself when he said that it was, it's been kind of nice not to look at the screen today. I'm just going down the bank and pitching this old jig. Yes. God bless you, Matt Robertson. Moody's in the house. Moody's in the house. Now, something kind of serious that happened during that Elite Series, if you saw it, Wes Logan was in a boat wreck, and they think that he just hit a like a platform or something that was submerged. Had blown in the lake after the high winds and stuff on the second day that was canceled or postponed. If you've seen that footage, good night. That motor leash just saved his hind end. That's all there is to it.
That thing's an awesome piece of safety equipment, man. They sponsored the WFT and LBAA at Precision Sonar, and I'd highly recommend getting a leash. I don't have one yet, but I'm keep hearing about all these deals, and I got to get one.
Yeah, I would agree. What's your take on that, Mr. Boat Mechanic Man?
I mean, I priced one right after I heard what happened, and I've seen them on numerous boats. I think you can get one bought for under $400. As many lakes as we cruise around on that have flooded timber and all the rock piles and just all the dangerous stuff that you hear about. I've got one on my list of things to do for the next one for sure, because you just never know when it can happen. I've seen engines laying on the back deck of boats, even at previous tournaments on Grand. Like Wes Logan said on stage, he was happy to be standing on stage, and happy to live another day. And if that is what kept his engine from coming on the back deck, then $350 or $400 well spent, in my opinion.
Yeah,
100%.
man. I saw a couple different versions of that video. Of course, on TikTok, because I'm a TikTok freak. One was slowed down real slow, and I watched his face hit that. Oh, I could just feel it, man.
Yeah, I think he said he had like 29 or 30 stitches or something, and
yeah,
I guess it must have clipped did it clip the console or something, Danny?
well, yeah. I think it was the second bounce that actually cut him. Crazy.
Yeah.
Just a freak deal.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's
and they never really told the story. I don't think it actually caused any major damage to his rig at all or anything, because they even got at the fish out of the live well. So
yeah,
because he well, they never said that he borrowed a boat, so we can just assume that he took his back out. But
I thought I heard that they brought a boat to him.
Okay.
And he ran it to shore, took an ambulance to the hospital, they checked him out and stitched him up. And then I'm assuming he probably used that same boat to finish the day out.
Okay, there you go. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Which there was a lot of drama over that they let him go back out.
Oh, I'm sure. Man, can we have one event this year anywhere without drama?
Probably not.
Of some kind.
I mean, hopefully next weekend it's your little KBN deal.
America. Oh no.
Right.
I'm sure I have already tweaked somebody off.
The deal is, Danny, the controversy and all the different things. I mean, you're following a sport that's bigger than we really think it is, and there's a whole hell of a bunch of rednecks involved. There's liable to be something stupid happen. I mean, and it
sure sells tickets, doesn't it?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Crazy. So, Travis, I like that WFT LBAA KBN question mark.
Yep.
So I had announced, last week or the week before with Maddie that I nominated Travis for tournament director for KBN because he apparently likes running tournaments, so he might as well run 4 more.
2 more, 4 more, 6 more. What's the difference? It all adds up, right?
Well, yeah. I like it. I'm excited about it.
Tournaments are fun.
I've seen him do a pretty salty job, so what's one extra one?
Well, no kidding. Well, 4 or 5 or 6. Now the big question for me right off the bat is, dude, are you going to get to fish anything?
Me and my wife have actually been talking about that. I kind of posted on here a couple of weeks ago that I'm thinking about selling my boat because I have a 2014 Triton and it has less than 300 hours on it right now. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's everybody gives me crap for having an Evinrude 250 on there still, but it's like, well, I ain't got no hours on it. So,
hey, Chris,
like an idiot, I got it wrapped last May, and that's pretty much the end of when I think I've had it out 4 times for me to pleasure fish. I don't think I've fished a tournament in it since I've had it wrapped. It's been in like 4 or 5 tournaments from people borrowing it for Grand Lake and other championships and stuff when their boats went down, and people know that I'm not using it, so they call me up and have taken it out. And then we took it to Chick for the High School Bass Nation Championship. And then other than that, man, it felt good to be in my boat and make a 45-mile run 5 days in a row. That was kind of nice to, make sure she still ran.
Well, no kidding.
Till the last day I smoked something, and then it started overheating. So on the way back to the ramp. So
break out another 1,000.
Those kids, they struggled on day one, and on day two, they had fish to weigh in, and it was they looked at me like, "Are we going to make it back in time?" I'm like, "We're 30-something miles out, and we just threw overheating alarms." So I let it cool down for a second, and we got back up on pad, and it was exactly a mile, and it threw it again, and I was like, "Rut-row, Raggy." I look at those kids, and they looked at me like, "We just want to make the stage," and I was like, "Man, I'm going to risk blowing a motor for 2 fish that ultimately is not going to matter." But we made it back with like 6 minutes to spare, literally running 1 mile at a time, shutting down for a couple minutes, running 1 mile, and I'm sure I tore something up, but it is what it is.
It'll all be over after the fire.
Yeah, right.
Well,
speaking of fires, there's been a lot of fires from lithium batteries lately.
Yeah. What's going
I know
on there?
I had some stuff in a storage unit, just extra tackle for temptation and extra clamshells for me and Devin Pino's little clamshell business that we got going on for other bait makers. And I used to have this unit that caught fire. I had given it up because I didn't need it all. I didn't need 1,200 extra square feet of storage, so I gave it up. And some guy, lithium batteries caught fire. And then 2 days ago, my mom's neighbor's house, lithium batteries caught fire on their boat. And I'm like, holy smokes.
Wow.
Might work on the plastic that they're wrapped in. I don't know if that chemical that's inside the lithium. I don't know a whole lot about how their chemical makeup, but I wonder if it's breaking the plastic down that they're actually, cased with.
Yeah, who knows?
Or if when lithium meets water, it gets extremely. I can't think of the word, but it just disrupts its chemical makeup, and it just goes crazy. And so if a battery or something gets cracked or who knows what, that's where you'll see the parking lot fires or this or that. I know a guy that he works for a company that builds batteries for the aerospace industry in Joplin, and he won't run lithium batteries in his boat.
Yeah.
I
started with lithium and I went away from them. So
I've got insurance. The way I look at it, if the boat burns down, and hopefully it's not anywhere near me. I think lithiums are great, and I like the weight, how light they are, and what they do. It's just they are a little, everything's got its issues.
Oh my. Justin Harris. Moody. The pay is so good. Yeah, that's why we do this.
Tournament director stuff. Yeah, the pay's great, I heard.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's right up there with kissing your sister on the mouth.
Yeah, the pay's real good. Even when you own your own tours, it seems to be really bad too.
Before we get too terribly deep in the woods on the whole tournament director deal, Travis Burch, tell us about a couple of your companies that you got. Temptation Tackle.
Yep, so I started Temptation Tackle when we took over the youth program. I had ordered a couple molds just for, stuff that I threw a lot. I used to make, just some old do-it molds. I used to throw brush hogs a lot and Cincos. And so I had 4 or 5 molds that I ordered for personal use and kept my, color selections that you couldn't get all the time in, and started giving kids, little clear bags full of baits that looked like they showed up at Grandpa's tackle box that hadn't been used in 30, 40 years. And then I just got addicted to it during COVID. I hate to say it, but because my wife's sitting in the room, but I probably spent 6 figures on buying molds.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I've got 6 setups for shooting stars. If you know anything about soft plastics, they're the 2 big mixing pots that stir, and I mean, those are a couple grand a piece, and I probably have a couple hundred molds. And every time a buddy would be like, "Hey, do you have a spicy beaver that Reaction Innovations makes?" I'd be like, "No, but I can get it." Or do you have the cut tail worm that Yamo makes? No, but I can get it. And next thing you know, I've just had mold after mold after mold. And some of those I can't sell online, obviously, because of patents like the rage bugs and stuff like that. Which that led down to another rabbit hole, which is the clamshell side of things. We have now branched it off into its own business, which KBN member Devin Pino is now a partner in. I started selling clamshells to bait makers because when I got into it during COVID, so did everybody else. And I realized that nobody had the money to buy 10,000 clamshells for every type of packaging. So we started off, I think, with like 7 packages that would fit generic, like the 7-cavity Kytex and the 6-cavity and 8-cavity Kytex. And now we're up to like 13 or 14 designs, and we're actually thinking about finalizing a purchase on a machine to make them ourselves. So
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely a niche deal, because there's a lot of people that when you start talking about premium soft plastic lures, it better be in a clamshell. The tail better not have a little bend to it that it's not supposed to have. And I mean, I know a lot of pros that literally have told me in the past, like Zoom soft plastics, and I'm not down in any company whatsoever, but like I knew a guy that was sponsored by Zoom for the longest time, and he used to sell at garage sales the new unused plastics that were not perfect. He would put them in gallon Ziploc baggies and sell them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all because, they didn't have a clamshell inside them. I mean, I'm not that particular, but this certain pro was, and I mean, he used to sell like thousands of Zoom soft plastics that were just had a little dimple in the side, or you've seen the brush hog with the little dimple in it or whatever, and he would bag them up and sell them at garage sales for like nothing. So it's cool. It's really neat.
That's the stuff I was not throwing away, but I was bagging up and giving to kids. And then I started paying attention to like all the soft plastics that I had when I was taking out of my boat, and I was like, man, there's so many major defects on all these major brands.
Yeah.
But until you start making them, you don't realize. And I was like, man, why am I being so picky? One little micro air bubble or one little what they call denting or flashing is not a big deal. But I mean, at the same time, I was making it a big deal. So I was like holding up 3 baits and picking one, and like it was stupid. I wasted a lot of money, but I gave a lot of kids a lot of free baits.
K-Guard too, right? I mean, the list is going on and on.
Yep.
Just like I saw the boat wrap.
Yeah. K-Guard.
Some of the good advertising you've done. Tell us a little bit about that.
So K-Guard is a leaf-free gutter company. I was in the casino business for years, and the kind of the management and tournament directing side of that for poker tournaments and dealing feature tables and traveling with ESPN, Fox Sports, World Series of Poker, Mid-States Poker Tour, stuff like that. And me and my business partner crossed paths in the poker room of all places, and I was quitting my job. I had actually put in a 2 weeks notice, and I was leaving my tournament director's role at Hollywood, Kansas Speedway to go work for my competitor. And my now competitor, and me and Carter talked. I was like pretty much walking out the door, and I took him with me basically from playing poker full time to going into a sales job. And a year later, K-Guard came across the Facebook page during a KU, I think, Texas game in the Big 12 tournament, and it was a similar product to what we were selling. And me and Carter went down this rabbit hole of purchasing basically a franchise. It's a dealership license agreement, but it's set up more like a franchise. So we bought Kansas and Missouri's territory, and now we own part of Colorado and part of Illinois as well. We are part owners with a partner in Colorado of all of Colorado, and then we own part of Illinois as well. So if you know anybody in the St. Louis area, we're still looking for a partner down there to run that territory.
And you're still looking for people that want to keep leaves out of their gutters.
Yep.
You're looking for them homeowners with a lot of oak trees around them.
Oak trees, birds, everything. Yeah, you. Anybody that doesn't want to spend the weekend doing honeydews, I mean, it's not a bad chore to get up there and clean the ladder. I mean, clean the gutters, but at the same time, I mean, it only takes that one fall. That $80 savings or $200 savings from cleaning your gutters or paying somebody to clean your gutters is not really worth it long term. Kind of like the whole motor leash thing, right?
There you go.
Got to pick and choose your battles, and I'm all about maintenance free and safety. So maybe I need to add a motor leash on my my boat so I can not preach to the choir about being safe. Even though I'm not the one driving my boat most of the time.
Well, see there, you care about the guys that you're loaning it to,
Yep. For sure.
Anytime you can find something or be a part of something that's maintenance free and carefree, safe, it probably makes sense to more than just yourself, so that's really cool.
Yep. It's been a good bit. I mean, honestly, that business is while yes, it's profitable. It's it's an extremely good product. So it's made us to the point where our customers and word of mouth and advertising, all that stuff is all worked hand in hand, and it's taken care of us financially to allow me to be able to start Temptation and be the youth director for KBN for the 4 years and start the World Fishing Tour and lose a buttload of money and guaranteed money and maybe break even on the LBAA side this year. And then be able to take on task of possibly the adult director role. So,
well, I'm happy for your successes and break evens because if somebody doesn't do it, somebody else kind of has to, especially the tournament director role. The job must go on, and Danny, I guess, is threatened. Maybe you, hopefully, in the not so live segment. I don't know, but Danny, what's the deal with this question mark after Travis's big giant title? I gotta please.
Well, he's been nominated, but I don't know if he's accepted, and he hasn't been voted in yet. So,
yeah, I was gonna say I haven't been accepted, right?
like anybody else is going to be nominated or run for that.
You never know. I might nominate you just to give it a run for its money.
Well, it's still going to end up the same way, dude. I told a cat the other day that, well, it was Matt Knopf, if he's watching. I can't see if he is, but he said, I think I'm going to nominate you for tournament director. I texted him back, and I replied, and I said, dude, I know that you've been away for several years, but I literally just finished being tournament director for 6 years. Well, I'm still going to nominate you. I said, you nominate me and I'll drive to your house and break all your rods. But,
Brandon Ackerson said we can nominate him, but all the tournaments will be on Grant.
Well, fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah, submit a proposal, Brandon, and we'll nominate you.
Done.
I'll even bring him the trailer.
I'm pretty sure that's south of where I live and not west. So,
yep.
Yeah, headquartered out of the Lake Lodge at Grand Lake of the Cherokees.
That's right. Somebody down there might know how to be a tournament director too. So
he knows a little something about it.
I told him I'm gonna leave him everything to run a winter series down there.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool?
Well,
honestly, I can't believe that. I like that. Any complaining is automatic DQ. I like that. Honestly, I can't believe that there isn't, already an established winter series there.
For a place that has tournaments, 6 days a week, 8-9 months a year, it is kind of a shock.
I mean, I kind of feel like February, March, and April are winter series enough, honestly. But I do actually second that. I am kind of surprised that somebody hasn't. It says Brent Saltz runs one. Brandon, can you maybe just post what that is?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, he does run one now. More fall than winter, he says.
Yeah, and like for me, wrapping the season up really in September, October, November, it's mainly just end of the year championships and kind of just wrapping things up. It would be kind of neat to go November, December. 5 fish productions. Interesting. Have to check that out.
What so speaking of championships in October, November, what is the ultimate drawing at you as an angler? Because with the World Fishing Tour stuff, we're constantly trying to figure out what draws contestants and what really keeps people wanting to fish. What for you as an angler actually is the most enticing?
For a year-end tournament, or for just
like if you had to pick one series over everything, what's the most enticing carrot at the end of the road?
Well, I would honestly say a chance to win more than $5,000 in grand prize money. I mean,
Yep.
Anglers in Action, Joe Bass, they're piping out a boat. I mean,
Yep.
the drive for the top payout, because you're not fishing a tournament for second place,
Right?
You're trying to win, and you're usually fishing with a team. Most formats I like to fish are with a team, so you're fishing with a buddy. So at the end of the day, we split everything, right? So I mean, it's nice to win more than a couple $1,000s at the end of the year in the grand finale, especially when you're usually spending a few days with said individual and boat gas and motels and travel expenses and all that good stuff. And it's really hard for me as a person to sell to the wife, well, I'm going to spend 5 days fishing a championship tournament and I'm going to split my winnings with my team partner, and I'm going to bring home $500 for first place. I mean, is it really worth it? So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all, in my opinion, it's not all about the grand prize money, but that is a huge draw. It's, Nichols is the same way. Very, very big deal.
Yep.
And I think that's why they draw as many boats as they do. It's just,
it has to be, right? Because they're taking 30-35% of the prize pool. I mean, they have to be. Yeah. It has to be the big carrot at the end of the road, right?
And if it is also an added bonus if maybe there's some incentive money there, a chance at some incentive monies. A lot of boat companies have Barkley Cash for Cash, Costa has one, and then obviously the Toyota, even your accessories you put on your truck or the boat that you operate or whatever it might be. That's that's an added bonus in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. Like we got Toyota bonus bucks to the LBA and Costa money and all that fun stuff. But I was just wondering what's your biggest drawing factor? Like, kind of what I meant out of the question is, would you rather win $100,000 or would you rather win a $100,000 bass boat fully rigged?
I'd rather win the cash.
Yeah.
Let me decide what I buy.
Yep.
I'd rather see the cash. It's just easier in the end of it. My bank will cash any check amount. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's trying to find the right person to buy that boat for what you want is a little more hassle than I want to deal with.
For sure. I was just wondering. Seems like the boat giveaways of the championship or the Nichols season series or whatever is seems to have big draw numbers, and it's just like, man, would $100,000 bring in more than an $80,000 bass boat? Yes or no? It should.
Yeah, absolutely, it would. Absolutely, it would. And
really, those boats are 35, 40 grand because they're not completely rigged and they're 18 footers and all that fun stuff.
Sure. The one thing that just kind of was like, really. And and I enjoy fishing the team tournament, but Joe Bass, instead of fishing for the boat, they give it away in a drawing. You're like, dudes won 7,000 or 8,000 or whatever it was for first, and you literally just give a random person away a $35,000-$40,000 skeeter. Like, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. But
To be fair, though, there's a lot of people that aren't good enough to win that boat if they had to win it. So that's maybe why they help pull some of their numbers,
and that's why we brought you on as a special guest, Travis, to go ahead and just throw it out there, buddy.
Yeah. Not saying that I agree with it, but
Right.
I mean, in my opinion, like I'm not good enough to win. Well, in my opinion, I'm not good enough to win a bass tournament, right?
Guys, I'll be right back.
Go ahead, Dan.
Sorry.
Okay. So, in my opinion, I'm not good enough to win a bass tournament with 300 boats with 15 of the lake's best hammers in it, without just falling on the perfect bite. So, if I was in a Joe Bass series and they were giving away a boat to a random person, I would feel like, well, there's some added value for me to fish that over maybe nickels or whatever.
I think
So-
there's definitely that. It draws. I think it draws more people to that tournament, no matter if you're winning a boat at the end of the day because you got first place, or if you're winning that boat because you got your name drew out of a hat.
Yep.
I think it draws more people. Just depends on who it benefits. And at the end, it's still benefiting the angler one way or the other.
Oh, 100%.
And that angler spent just as much money as the next guy that
Yep.
may have won first place and caught the biggest limit and biggest bass. So, Brandon's got a good point. The Grand Challenge, they pay $5,000 for first and they have a $10,000 drawing, I think you should fish for it, honestly. I think you should fish for the bigger pot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a fan of fishing for it and not taking any money from the anglers, rake wise and all that fun stuff. As much as possible, the best thing for the anglers. I was just wondering, ultimately, at the end of the road, if it was apples to apples, exact dollar amount for the boat, and exactly what you could sell it for, not what it's worth, because we all know it's a lot harder to sell a boat that's not 100% rigged the way you want it. Which one would be more appetizing? I just don't know which direction to go with the World Fishing Tour. Should I put a $100,000 championship at the end of the year, or should I keep guaranteeing $10,000 to $20,000 for first place type stuff? Because that didn't work the first 2 years.
Well, man, that's a $1 million question, Travis. I mean, really is.
Yeah.
Because
Sorry.
I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but I'm curious as to. There's people like I'll speak for myself. And it's easier to me. There's people like me that are so used to fishing this XYZ buddy tournaments.
Yep.
Right? I'm used to fishing the Anglers in Action here and the blah, blah, blah over here and whatever else. And then I see this Travis Burch World Fishing Tour that's got some pretty green pastures, but I'm so used to going to this pasture over here, to this direction, that I may not quite understand how your tournaments ran. I'm not exactly sure what kind of total entry fee it's going to take to enter it. You know what I'm saying? Figuring out a way to get somebody like me to enter your tournament. Like I said, speaking for myself.
No, that's the hard part. How do you get it through to the average angler? Because obviously the guys that crunch, what the organization takes from the total cost to get in it, right? So I don't want to use any particular because I think all the fishing is great for us, right? But say one trail is $300 and they're taking out $50 per angler for their pocket, or $120 per team for their membership, or whatever. Some guys are what I call very analytical and crunch numbers and look at the best percentage payouts. And some people look at, just the biggest carrot at the end of the road. They don't care if they take 50% of the pot. And that's fine as long as you're, a top 10% angler, right?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. I mean, and
yeah,
and you can say that statistic for even at the professional top elite level right now. I mean,
Yep.
the payouts have kind of sort of been the same for 20 years. I mean,
same or declining for 20 years.
yeah. I mean, you're looking at the Forest Wood Cup was paying $300,000 how many years ago?
God, where did that go? I mean, obviously
Yeah.
the Walmart money and all that stuff dried up, Polaroid, all that, everything that Walmart had. But
Kellogg's. I think there was a Huggies boat running around out there.
There was a Huggies boat. There was Polaroid. There was a dog food, Old Roy, I think. I mean, there was anything that was sold in a Walmart was out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
The non-endemics were big paying deals. So.
Yeah, I mean,
there was a
everything.
Boat.
Sign me up.
Right?
Sign me up. If you want to pay entries and boat gas, let's get her done, Jack.
Yep. I'll wear one of my ears like Trump had to, right?
That's right. I have a love-hate relationship with World Fishing Tour. I love the entire concept. Love it. Love the way you run it. Love the entire thing. I hate the fact that I haven't been able to find a partner to do it with.
Yeah, that's
Kyle.
I mean, that's the tough thing, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, our whole goal was to turn a lake into a destination for a week. So I'll just kind of tell you why I created the World Fishing Tour.
Please do.
I really do. Right. So if we can ever get that 60 to 100 boats to show up that shows up to every other tournament on these big lakes or more, because, I mean, you get up to the Nichols and the Joe Basses and stuff. Sometimes they're pulling AIA. Sometimes they're pulling 225, 300 back in the day, when Nichols was really crushing it. But if we ever get 60 to 80 boats on the first day of qualifying of our deal, you'll see the biggest payout you've ever seen for $300. You'll see 150 grand for first, 120 grand for second, 100 grand for third, stuff like that. Because it's modeled after the poker industry. 1 in 5 advance to the championship day, which is kind of like advancing to day 2 in the poker world. Usually about the top 15% or so advance to the final day in the poker world. So I figured 20% is a number that's common in fishing. 1 out of 5 in most of our tournaments get paid. So 1 out of 5 advance, and anybody else, if they don't make it, can stay there that whole week and try again. So you could get in the first day for $300, or you can stay Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and try again. You could be like Brandon Ackerson's been watching this podcast off and on for the last few weeks or last month or two. He cashed a check, I think, at Grand his first year when we guaranteed $20,000. I think the second year he didn't qualify for day 2, but fired a couple bullets. And then he showed up to Table Rock and fired, I think it was 5 bullets. If Brandon wants to comment, but he won the $10,000 first place guaranteed, which we only had 40. I think it was 49 boats. So $10,000 for first place for 49 boats. And you have to beat, 175, 200 boats on most tournaments to win 10 grand at a $300 entry fee.
Travis.
Yeah.
You got to do better at advertising.
Oh, 100%.
If it's that sweet a deal, I mean, what you just said, I have not heard before. And I know we're in the same circle of people. We know the same circle of people. I've never heard that before.
And I'm going to go there with this. People think it's too good to be true.
Oh, the first 2 tournaments, 100%.
Or there is a percentage of people that look at it and go, oh, there's no frickin' way. There's no way that works that way. Yeah, it's that simple. It's very simple.
So the first two
Yeah.
events, Danny. Speaking of too good to be true, the first two events. The first one was at Table Rock, and we guaranteed 20,000 for first place. First year was a $500 entry fee, so that changes a little bit on the guarantee side. I was like, man, I only need 80 boats to, cover the nut, right? Because I was also guaranteeing other spots the first year, like an idiot. Uh, but I was guaranteeing like 20,000 for first, like I don't know, 5,000 for second on down, right? Whatever it was, broke down to. But there was a lot of guys that showed up, and they were like, "You are the first person to ever put in writing that doesn't have to have a minimum boat to reach this." And everybody I've talked to says it's too good to be true. That first year, we were only going to Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma, and we had like 30,000 people on the website. We spent like 90 grand between advertising and payouts, between YouTube, social media, Google AdWords, everywhere we could advertise, we advertised, right? And it just didn't work. And so we've spent a ton of money on advertising, and that's the common thing is I still don't know how it works. I still never heard about it. I think it's too good to be true. But the most common thing is they didn't understand how it worked the first year. And then the second year, people are starting to understand it. And then year three's been okay. We haven't guaranteed a dime this year, and our numbers have went up on every tournament except for one, I believe. So, but that was also my main goal, was to fix the whole bullshit guarantees that were out there when we opened, because it used to be 10,000 first place guaranteed if we hit 200 boats, and I was like, that's not a guarantee. That's an estimated prize pool.
Yes. There you go.
And as you know, everybody's fixed their guarantees. It's now 10 grand AIA, no matter how many boats show up, right? So I wanted the lingo to get fixed, if anything. I might spend 100 grand to fix the lingo in our market, basically.
Or at least
comment over here, Chris. It's a buddy deal.
Yep.
It's a team event. Man, I'm excited for you, because at some point, John and I talk about this a lot, because John, since he's not at Bass anymore, he's paid a lot of attention to your events, and we talk about this quite a bit. It's like, man, one of these days it's going to just go, and then it's going to go.
Yep. I mean, nationally, it's caught some attention. I mean, we went to Grand, Table Rock, Bull Shoals, Truman. Where's the other? Wilson twice. I think we've been to 5 lakes, and 3 of them 3 times, or 3 of them 3 times, or whatever. So we're going back to Grand, or not Truman this fall, so that'd be the 3rd time to Truman, and the 1st time to Ozarks. But Harris Chain's called, they won it. Hartwell's called, they won it. Kiwi's called, they won it. Like Buffalo, New York, Lake Erie wants it. Syracuse, New York wants it. Like all these other cities see it, and they were like, this will work in our market. We don't know why the Ozarks is being crazy and stupid. And I'm like, well, that's what you think. That's what I thought. I'm like, but it's also a different style format. Just because you think your anglers will understand it, and just because you think the anglers will get it, they might not. So, I mean, this concept was literally born at a bar one night talking to a poker player, and happened to be my business partner. And he's like, oh, it'll work. I don't know anything about fishing. And 2 years in, he's like, I'm out. So
that's kind of like how we came up with this podcast.
Yep. I mean, at some point I told my business partner, I said, if this thing ever blows up, I owe you 45 grand. So hopefully it'll blow up, because that's what he lost in 2 years.
Oh, goodness me.
But so, I mean, that's kind of why I asked the question, like, what's the bigger carrot? Like, I'm really itching to guarantee something crazy. So
a prize boat, to me, it looks cool to those that don't know any better. The guy that's got just enough sense to get to the lake on time with the entry fee, it looks good. Yep. But a prize boat is a freaking white elephant albatross at times, because, well, number one, immediately, how are you going to get it home? 2, now you got to sell it in order to even begin to recoup some of your prize.
And most of them nowadays just give you a certificate.
On it. Yeah.
Yeah, most of them now just give you a certificate, and you got to sell the certificate for 75-80% of its value.
Exactly.
Bull crap! I want to pull that. I want to call my father-in-law. I got to call a favor in. I got to get that father-in-law down there. Tell him to hook his truck up to that daggum thing and get it back.
Yep.
I gotta call this guy right here and tell him to get his butt to Grand Lake, hook up a boat at some point. You know, he always told me if I ever call him at 3:30 on a Sunday, he wasn't answering.
He's a smart guy.
I won't call you at 3:30 on a Sunday because I lose a lot. So
I just wonder how many bullets would you fire in 300,000 for first place on Grand Lake?
what's the entry fee per day? $300.
300.
Yeah. So I mean, you're looking at it's a team event. You said, and how many times can you re-enter, Travis?
Every day.
Unlimited, every day.
4 days.
It depends on the city. So we build it around the city. So that's one thing that we wanted. It's 4 days minimum of qualifying, and every city gets to pick how many days total.
Yeah.
So, because the whole goal is to get people into town and keep them into town. So we were thinking, not only is that good for the city, it's also good for the wear and tear for the angler. Is it better for you to drive to Grand 10 times a year to fish another named trail? Or is it better to drive there one time, stay there for 10 days? Or 4 days or 5 days, however long the city wants. So we're trying to build a better return on investment for everybody, including the city, because we all know us guys. We get up 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, drive to the lake, fish all day, stop at Tomcat Corner, get our to-go meal, and bounce out and never spend a dime in the town except for maybe for some fuel or some gas or ice, right?
Right.
So
I mean, 4 days at $300 a pop's $1,200. The championship day is another $300. So you're looking at $1,500 for a 5-day tournament.
no entry fee on championship day.
Oh, okay. So you're looking just
you're in the money, guaranteed your payout at once you make day 2. So you're basically making the cut line. So that's the biggest thing that I need to figure out, how to get this across to anglers, right? You make day 1, you've made the cut, you've made the check line. Like, is that how anglers think? Is it the cut line, the check line? You've cashed a check. What are the proper words there? To know that they've cashed a check and there's no entry fee, because that's a very common question, Kyle. I mean, like, I'll have guys that make championship day and they're like, how much do I owe you to be back here on Sunday? I'm like, I don't know you. You don't know me anything. I owe you at least $450 or $500 or $600, whatever the payout is.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's good. That I mean, if you're saying, okay, your qualifying days is $300.
Yep.
If you qualify, you're guaranteed X.
Yep.
But you don't want to say you're guaranteed X because you don't know how many other boats you're going to get during the qualifying days to come. Is that?
We have guaranteed. We guaranteed the first year 2 times the original entry fee. So, or the second year, I guess it would have been. So we guaranteed $600 on year 2 if you cashed a check. So as long as you made day 2, you knew you got $600 back. So if you fired 1 bullet, you knew you doubled your money. If you fired 2 bullets, you know you got your money back, right?
Yeah.
If you fired 3 bullets, obviously you've got 2/3 back. And then we guaranteed $10,000 for first. So we guaranteed last place and we guaranteed first place on year 2.
I can see that being pretty respectful. I mean, if you're going to guarantee one thing, I think you should be able to guarantee last place check money. You know, I mean, it's an easy calculation, kind of, right? I mean,
yeah, it's easy.
Especially if you're a numbers guy like you.
Yeah.
The dude is just getting the message out there, and that's my biggest. Just like I said a little bit ago, what you just went over, I had never heard before, and I'm not too far away from your circle of
right.
people. And
yep,
I'm going, why in the hell did I not at least try at Grand Lake? I mean, it's
right.
Well,
yeah, we've been there 3 times too.
Here's the other thing about it, thinking about it as a competitor and not a promoter. And Travis will stop me if I am incorrect, but I believe I am correct with this scenario. So Kyle, let's say we go to Table Rock. He's got one at the Rock, and we go and we enter and we fish Wednesday, and we don't make it. But we think we figured something out at the end of the day. So we take Thursday off and practice. Then we come back Friday morning and enter again, and we're good to go, and we make championship Sunday. Then we just drink beer all day Saturday.
That actually happened to Brandon. That's what he did at Table Rock. He I think I don't remember the days, so I'm just going to throw out random days. So don't hold me to these exact days. But it was like Monday and Tuesday. He barely bubbled by like a half pound. He was the next guy out of the top 20%. Like it took 2, he got third. Next day it took 1 because there was 5 boats. He got second. And then he was like, dude, I need to get some work done, but I also need to see if this pattern's actually getting better. So he did some work for his uncle or whatever down on Table Rock and some construction style work, and then went out and checked on the fish and was like, dude, it's getting better. Came back, fired again, bubbled again or whatever, and then they ended up qualifying. He ended up qualifying, and then on championship day, he weighed in, I don't know, 18 something. He probably knows the exact weight, but he weighed in 18 something on championship day after firing 4 bullets, and thought it was going to be enough for like 6th or 7th because those guys were smashing them that week. It was 21, 22, 24, 26. Like it was stupid weights, right? And 18 pounds. And then the next thing you know, there was one team to weigh in. He was like, I'm leading. There's one more team to weigh in. What? Like, because those were the Table Rock hammers. That is one thing about the trail, too, is for some reason, we only get the hammers. Whatever that is, whatever the reason that is.
He's calling me out now. He's saying that you guys have talked about it for a while, and he wants to know what my advertising strategy is. Brandon, the short answer is that's one of the reasons why I don't work for myself, is because I'm not very good at advertising. The long answer is you got to get some people like me, Danny, a lot of people to be cheerleaders. I mean, the Facebook algorithm, the YouTube algorithm, I haven't figured it out yet. But my cell phone, which I have sitting at my desk at work and next to me the majority of my life, somehow or another, if I get to talking about something, it pops up on Facebook the next time I'm scrolling through in an ad or a YouTube video or something. You got to get some people in your corner, and you got to get some people cheerleading for you. And what does that take? Travis, I don't have the proper answer for it. I mean, give me a sheet with exactly what to say, and I'll put it on Facebook once a week for you, buddy. I don't know what's the format and the format and all the stuff that you've said about the World Fishing Tour. It sounds incredible to me. It really does.
Yeah, and we've tried everything except for radio and billboard. Like we've done the tackle shows, we've done pretty much anything and everything you can. Like I even put a bunch, because I was like, tournament anglers don't spend any money, or like really Google tournaments, right? But I was like, I'm going to force them to see this, right? Like, so I spend money on Facebook and all that fun stuff, and Google, and trust me, I know how to market when it comes to that stuff. And it's just like, people would go to the website, they'd read up on it, and then they would just, fall off, or they'd come back 2 or 3 times. And it's got the traction when it comes to, people paying attention to it. The views and stuff like that have been good. So it's just getting people to test their waters is the key. Whether or not we offer some one-off winter series as a grand or whatever at these lakes, we're going to do some billboard and some more tackle shop advertising next year. I think is going to be our next goal, is just spend as much freaking money as we can in the spots where we know people are.
Yeah.
And every market's different too. Like Grand, I mean, that might be a radio market. Wilson might be a billboard market, and Table Rock might be a bait shop market. We're just throwing out random scenarios, but
Travis, I don't know even if it's just something, maybe the old school in me is coming out. But I mean, have you gotten kind of a pick list from DB of, maybe just get a pick list of the bass clubs in Kansas or find the bass list of bass clubs in Oklahoma or whatever state you're heavy on, and try to get maybe an email of that president and send that president an email saying, hey, we're going to be here at blah, 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 such and such time and day. Or, I mean,
I had over 4,400 Bass Nation email contacts when we opened, and we email blasted them a bunch. So there may have been a leaked email list from a very big source in the Ozarks that accidentally CC'd everybody's email address. So,
it's
and
nice.
I mean, no, it was not a no people. It was the owner of one of the big fishing forums in the Ozarks accidentally didn't use his like Constant Contact or Monkey Chimp or MailChimp or whatever mail deal, and he just did it normally. He like copied all his emails and just sent them out. And I would go, holy smokes, thank you, sir. So long story short, World Fishing Tour was actually not supposed to open the year it opened. I had sent it to like 7 people saying, what do you think of this concept? And I had already built like a generic website, like a landing page. And one of those 7 or 8 people posted it to like 5 fishing forums that day. And I was like, oh, fuck. Excuse my French. I was like, I guess we're having a tournament on Table Rock and guaranteeing $20,000 in 45 days. I'm in trouble.
Catch up with a couple of comments over here, guys. It's like Brandon had said earlier that you kind of budget it a whole season on 1 week. And yeah, I can see that. As Brad adds down there a little ways, it's like 5 tournaments and a championship in 1 week instead of 5 and a championship in an entire season.
Yep.
It's like each event is its own season.
And that's what it was designed to be, was each lake was its own season, right? Because we can't come in and compete with Nichols. We can't come in and compete with AIA and all these, well-established, great ran tournament trails in the Ozark. And I was like, maybe we can market an entire season in a week. And we've tried marketing it that way too. So I think each angler understands it a little bit different. And we weren't supposed to go down this rabbit hole. I was just asking which one would draw you more to a tournament and season-ending championship, 100,000 or 100,000 both. So.
Oh, son, we haven't even begun to rabbit hole. You don't even know. What up, Josh? Clutch Swim Baits in the house. So.
What's that? You cut out on my end. What was that?
Oh, Josh is joining us. He says, what's up, guys? Over here on the comments. Clutch Swim Bait. So World Fishing Tour. And since that's going so well, you thought, well, shoot, I'll just take on another tournament organization. And yeah. I don't know why. I have just enjoyed watching that develop from the word go with that, because you had told me that you were gonna do it, gonna jump, and I've been able to actually just watch from the beginning and see the interaction you have with the ladies, and I follow a couple of them on their stuff, and it's cool, man.
The ladies are awesome, man. I mean, when I walked into that room last October, can you guys hear me okay? Because for some reason you both froze. Okay.
We're good.
So I walked into that room with Steve French and my wife, and Abby Keeney went down with us. We went down for the classic, and I was like, Abby, I'm going to pay you to come down and just video and take photos just in case we make this purchase, right? And it even came to fruition because we had a World Fishing Tour event on Bull Shoals, and Craig LaPointe, that owns Anchor Point Resort down there, loved the way we treated our 4 to 6 boat tournament every day, right? And qualifying. He was like, man, you treat it like it's the Bassmaster Open. You do anthem and everything like you're supposed to, and music. And, it's I don't care if there's 225 boats or 3 boats, we're going to treat it the same. But
Sure.
so we did that, and he was like, I think you would be the right guy to take this on. So he reached out to Secret and Cheryl, and obviously they didn't know me. They had ran LBAA for 13 years and actually created it after ESPN, Disney, all that fun stuff, bought Bass and folded it. And I don't know the exact story, so I don't want to put anything out there that's bad or negative. But basically, the women's tour was going away, and it was a big deal at the time. It had been around 3 or 4 years, and it was averaging 80 to 120 boats or something like that. And it was a bigger buy-in and big guarantees and stuff like that. And the women were winning some money, and there was a lot of money to be won. And a few of them made the Classic the first 2 years or last 2 years, whichever way it went, where they actually made the Classic. And Pam Martin Wells actually made day 3 and was leading. I think was first one with a limit on day 3. So there was a lot of things going right for the women's tour, and then ESPN Disney whole situation happened, and it just folded. And so Secret and Cheryl were awesome enough to basically take it on. And to try to be an owner, operator, and fish, which that's why I put that in my KBN proposal. I don't feel like you can do all of the above well.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
So, they had done a great job, maintaining that, 15 to 30 boat mark that they, talked into coming over to their trail. But not to say it the wrong way, but in a way, it was just a glorified club. And we walked into that Classic, and I looked at all those ladies and loved everything about it, the family atmosphere, the friendships, even the cutthroat competitiveness that I saw out there. And I was like, you ladies, this thing dies with you all if we don't start getting some youth in here. So I said, if y'all would just trust me and let me get some youth in here, we'll get this thing back up by the end of the year. So we went 15 boats, 17 boats, 19, and we were 24, but we had somebody have medical issue or boat problem or whatever it was at the last tournament at Guntersville. But I really feel like we can break that 30 boat mark next year, and then hopefully 40 boat mark in 2026. And I've actually already signed 2 lakes for 2026, just in the last week. So that's one thing the LBAA has opened my eyes to, is how I was messing up on the negotiating side of the cities. All these tournament organizations are making money from these cities on top of taking money from these anglers. And there's enough money there to not have to take a dime from the anglers, which we have not taken a dime from the LBAA anglers this year, and we have not taken a dime from the entry fee money on the World Fishing Tour side this year, and we've actually paid back some of the membership money on the World Fishing Tour side on top of it. So it's these cities, I'm rolling out stupid low numbers. Like, if you let me do 2 events in your city, I'll do it for, I'll just tell you the number, $6,000 in free rooms. And that's enough to cover my cost and pay Steve and pay Abby for the week, right? I'm not in this to make money. Ultimately, in the long run, I would like to, but I'm in this to have a passion for fishing and a passion for the anglers and try to help fix the sport and get rid of all these kind of lower end payout scales and taking too much from the anglers and raping these cities. Not saying that such and such organizations shouldn't get 15 to 75 grand for their tournament, because they're bringing in the value. But these, little one-off organizations that have been around for a long time that are charging $12,000, $15,000 to come to town, I feel like it's a bad profit term. On top of it, they're taking 20 to 30% from some of these anglers, and it just kind of bothers me. I'm a numbers guy, so it bothers me.
I think it should. Because you're right. There's a lot of tournament organizations that have maybe taken advantage because they feel like they're like a stakeholder at that lake. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it takes the whole, there's a new sheriff in town mentality to shake things up a little bit, dude.
Yeah, I told all my friends, I said, I don't care if this fails in 3 to 5 years, as long as I fix a few things like the fake guaranteed money, letting anglers know to pay attention to that. I call it the rake because I came from a casino background. What we could make off the casino gambler was called the rake, right? Or the house edge. So the edge or the rake is what the organization's taking, right? So when you start crunching some of you don't want to look at some of the numbers of some of the stuff. Like, don't look at it too deep because you'll be like, holy shit, why am I fishing this? But some of it is like, oh, they're taking, by the end of the year, after you factor in the additive incentives and all that stuff, it's close to 100% payback. But some of the stuff is taking 35, 40%. And that's no Vaseline stuff right there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I know for a fact I am victim to fishing at least one of those type deals. And
we all are. And don't get me wrong, I still fish them too. We want to fish, but at the same time, like if it comes down to this Saturday, you have a choice between 3 tournaments. They all pay $10,000 for first. Which one should you fish is the mindset I want people to start thinking about. So this one pays 10 grand for first. It takes 5% rake. This one pays 10 grand for first, takes 30% rake. Which one should you fish, Kyle? You know what I mean? Like that's what I want people to pay. That's what I want people to pay attention to.
1 + 1 equals.
I mean, there's a lot of dumb rednecks like me. I'm not gonna lie. You're right, Travis.
No, I mean, it's in every industry. Like, I mean, one of my buddies, Chris Triba, in the poker industry, he's from the Northeast and was just posting a comment about the Borgata Poker Open. Like, a 18% rake in a $1,500 tournament is considered astronomical, right? That 10 to 15% rake is where it should be, worst case scenario. And once you get up to that $5,000 buy-in level, it should be under 5%, stuff like that. Well, him and some other poker players are notorious for calling out a bad structure for players, like, and pointing the player to the other direction of where they should be. And that's one thing that our industry is kind of missing. We got a lot of drama of our industry, but we don't really have anybody educating people with a huge following on why they should fish maybe bass versus whatever, MPFL versus whatever, MLF versus whatever, when it comes to payouts and juice. I don't want to get into who's better on here on out of all the trails we have to fish in our area, but
yeah, no, but there's a reason why the pros have a kind of a board of anglers, and it's because they're essentially kind of trying to coach the places that they work for or they are customers of into doing better too, So, I mean, good stuff.
And there's the first awkward silence. We went an hour and 7 minutes with no awkward silence.
It's a lot to soak in. It's a lot to soak in, Danny. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it is. I mean,
brief change subject. Did you see the dude on the news in Jonesboro, Arkansas? Which I knew that would bring, because I'm laughing the whole time. This dude got arrested. He was incarcerated, went to the hospital, escaped the hospital. They caught him, put him in a cop car, and the deputy just literally beat the shit out of him while he was handcuffed. I laughed so hard at that because the first thing I thought of was maybe that's why that girl at that McDonald's wanted to come with us.
Oh man, that was funny.
Tales from the dark side.
That's old Wendy from McDonald's. I don't know if her real name was Wendy, but she looked like she could have been a Wendy from the Wendy's commercial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not as pretty. Not as pretty as the cartoon.
Right, Kyle. This girl was literally trying to climb in our truck as we were getting some stale McDonald's after I pushed the envelope with Danny and Tate in the car and drove like 8 hours because I didn't realize how long a Toyota Tundra with the hybrid engine can drive on 3/4 of a tank or whatever.
Well, desperate times call for desperate measures. I mean, you at least let her get in the back or what?
Hell, she wanted to crawl in the front seat with me and Danny. We had to wave our wedding rings at her, and she still didn't care.
Yeah.
She's just looking for something to eat, bub.
Yeah. or maybe a little bump. I don't know. I'm not sure about
Should have
that.
tossed
I
her.
don't-
Tossed her McDouble and said, "See ya."
I don't know exactly what she was looking for, but speaking of something to eat, changing the subject on what we were actually talking about eating there, but the steak sandwich from freaking Jasper, Alabama.
Golly, Danny. It never
Dude,
ends.
I asked Will Davis about that, and he's like, "It's where?" I said, "It's in Jasper." Okay. I said, "You go to Smith Lake next time, run into Jasper, go to Sun's Barbecue."
Yep.
And then we're off the live, and he's like, "Now where was that?" I said, "It's." He says, "Oh, it's behind that grocery store." I said,
Yep.
"Yeah, I think I have been there." Oh, that steak sandwich. That's better than sex, Kyle Kister.
Oh, we're getting deep now, boys. We're getting deep now. Well, anyways,
It's pretty freaking good, man. It's I don't know if I'd go as far as it's better than sex, but whew.
Well, when you're 54, it is. You guys aren't even close to 54 yet, so.
That steak sandwich is the bomb, though. I mean, we almost drove from Gunnersville to go get it one day. Like I was literally doing the math. I was like, can I leave here from launch, go to lunch, and make it back for weigh-in in time? But I didn't make the trip. And then of course, when you're pulling that big fifth wheel home, you don't really want to make an hour and a half out of the way detour. Trust me, we almost did on the way there and the way back.
Oh, well,
have either one of you ever sold a bass boat 3 months ago and it's still never been picked up?
the answer to that is no.
I
Might want to double check that you sold it.
I did. I've got the check. It's cleared. I already spent the money.
Oh, wow. Nice. Well, then start charging a storage fee.
The guy checks in. He's like, I'm still building my dock. I need to know what size lift to get. I need to, all the fun stuff. And I'm like, man, I actually paid insurance on it for a couple extra months just because I didn't want something to fall on it in my yard. Be my luck. It's an old 1988 Cajun I bought for this little lake I live on. And yeah, he's never came to get it.
Dude, I absolutely love the comment that Uncle Stinger posted. The steak sandwich lasts longer.
Mm-hmm.
I love
definitely than Danny Barrett. I'm just going off of what Wendy said.
Oh yeah. Hey, it's only funny because it's true. So.
Hey, you ain't been married that long if she doesn't enjoy the 30 seconds, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm shouting from the rooftop. Well, what else do we need to know from Travis Burch today?
I don't know, because he's full of all kinds of interesting information. I could just listen to him ramble about tournament directing for a long time and just be in awe.
I mean, we could talk about formats, right? We're talking about
let her fly.
What do I get a chance to chime in on this?
Probably. I think we've lost him.
Oh, good. That means I get the chance to chime in now because he's muted. He's muted himself and he can't talk any longer.
There we go.
Back.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought my phone died there for a second because I was like, it went black, like it's dead, and I was like, no, it's still got juice. That's weird. But no, we could talk about format proposals.
Yeah.
Do we have?
Those are outstanding. I'll just say this because I was thinking about this. a while back. I missed the couple of times that I've sat in at a meeting with Danny, being the target at the firing range, I guess, is the example I could use. And I want to back up. For just a second. And it was a previous comment. Let's see if I can scroll back a little bit. and find it. It was a previous comment about tournament director. If an angler complains, they are DQ'd.
I like it.
I did like that one actually, because I wanted to comment and say, I hope everybody knows and realizes that it's whatever the tournament director says is what goes, right? Like, it doesn't matter. As long as he's obeying the law and the rules of the lake and all that. Yes, he is, Wendy. As long as the tournament director says, guys, you got to put a purple smiley face on your engine today because I said it and here's a sticker. I guess you got to put a purple smiley face on your engine. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, really, it's whatever the tournament director says goes. So truthfully, if you complain, I guess don't fish, right?
Oh my. This is a rabbit hole that is just getting ready to crater.
I just like stirring. I like stirring people up a little bit. It's just funny.
Nuh-uh.
And I don't get very many opportunities to speak my mind. So the format, I think maybe Travis, what you were getting to, and I could be wrong, and I'll shut up if I'm wrong. I will. Is the qualifier format? Am I right?
Yeah, KBN qualifier format.
Okay. The KBN, thank you for that. The KBN qualifier format, I just don't understand. I think I do understand, but hard time figuring out why guys are so heavily opinionated on it's got to be at this place at this time every year, or I'm not doing it. Is it because you're not good enough to qualify if it's not there? Or is it because you just absolutely will not travel 5 minutes? I'm just asking a question, fellas. Don't get
I think it's both.
me.
I'll answer it because I don't care what people think of me. I personally think you're 100% right there. I think some people refuse to travel. I think other people refuse to fish a lake that they're not good at. I am not good. I am not good enough to be fishing the opens, and I went out and fished the opens just to see what the open lifestyle was like. Like, I knew that if I cashed a check, that was a great season. Like, I wanted to see what it was like to try to beat all those guys to the ramp every morning, and I wanted to see what it was like to try to stay out longer than them every morning or every evening. And I remember one day at Smith Lake, I got to the ramp like 45 minutes before sunrise, and I was like sixth in line. I remember one time at Smith Lake or at Pickwick, I tried to stay out longer than anybody else and really pushed that whole 30 minutes after official sunset time. Pulled into the freaking dock like 2 minutes to spare, and there was still two more boats pulling in behind me. And I'm like, I'm not even good enough when I try. Like these guys are still putting in more effort. Like, this is ridiculous. I don't know. I personally think that some guys are just set in their ways. They only want to fish their home fisheries. They don't want to get uncomfortable. And some people just absolutely hate to travel. Me, I'm the complete opposite. I love living in that uncomfortable zone.
I'll be honest with you. I like living in that comfortable zone a little bit, but that's what I think is kind of humorous about it is I'm not saying that Wilson Lake's a bad lake to fish or anything. I personally don't care if I decide I'm going to try to qualify for the state team, I'm going to probably drive wherever I have to fish. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I see a lot of this just division between the west side of the state guys and the east side of the state guys, and I can remember a lot of arguments because we were going to have that one year we was going to have a qualifier in Missouri, and we was going to have a qualifier in Oklahoma for a Kansas State team. And I mean, you've seen some fire shooting out of some old boys' ears. You mean to tell me you're going to have a qualifier on Stockton, you're going to have a qualifier on Grand Lake, and I have to qualify for my Kansas State team, and I got to fish 2 lakes out of state? That's BS. And it's like, I'm sitting there going, well, those are real lakes. Name one real lake we have in Kansas, and I'll come fishing. Because all we have is a bunch of mud holes that are less than 10,000 acres. And you've got numerous lakes, Big Hill being one of them, that only has about 5 good spots on the whole thing. Let's go fish Pattern Lake. Let's go do something that's fun,
I remember getting into it with old Scott Hamill. I mean, we get along now, but I mean, we got into it heavy on Facebook one day. Danny had to entertain, or intertwine or whatever and delete it or whatever. But me and Scott went back and forth on this because, I mean, it wasn't to say Kansas anglers aren't good, because there's a lot of good anglers in Kansas, and we know that. But I'm tired of seeing our Kansas kids, our Kansas high school, and our Kansas adults go to these big regionals, and no offense, most of them do not have success, and I wouldn't either, because I haven't fished enough of these fisheries. But I feel like unless we're going to put our lakes, our guys on current, or our guys on grass, or our guys on pattern lakes, or our guys on highland reservoirs, so on and so forth, we're only going to be so good.
You hear I hear the saying, I hear the saying, an old fisherman told me this one time, and it just back in my head, I hear it all the time. Good fishermen come from good lakes. You can take that saying and you can break it down, but to me, a good lake is a lake that has a lot of options. It's got a decent population of fish. It's big enough that you're not waving hi to the guy that you're fishing against constantly all day. And you can go, I don't know, maybe try to fish a pattern. That sounds fun.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, those kids that I took to Chickamauga, I mean, I had never fished with them, never knew their skill set. And we got out there on the water first day of practice. I realized that they did not have the grass experience. They didn't have the live scope experience. They didn't have all this stuff, right? So we had to find something that we thought they could fish for day one. We actually found a really good bite in practice that just didn't pan out on day one. But it's unless we fish these kind of fisheries and come from these kind of fisheries and fish these fisheries often, we're never going to be able to adapt on the fly on these big regional events.
Well, and I don't know if this is 100% correct or not, so don't quote me on this, please. But to Devin's point, Devin just said Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, blah, blah, blah. They drive through Kansas to fish somewhere else. I think John had the Nebraska state team qualifier at Lake Lodge a month ago. Is that right, Danny?
2 months ago, something like that. Yeah.
Last spring. Yeah.
Last spring. Okay. I mean, they know their lakes probably aren't the best, and they know they want to qualify. And I'm not saying you got to put the qualifiers on Grand, but what I'm saying is Grand Lake's Grand Lake's good enough to hold an open. They're good enough to hold a classic. They're good enough to hold an elite series. Is it because the city of Grove is paying BASS a whole bunch of money to come, and they've signed some great agreement with Tulsa Gaming Commission? I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. But do I want a qualifier on Big Hill? Absolutely freaking not. Are you kidding me? That'd be stupid. Go ahead. Go ahead, because
I agree. Hey, I agree
to say that.
I agree with everything you've both said, and to a degree, I agree with everything that's been commented so far about on this topic. A lot of that thinking, though, a lot of that east, west, in-state, out-of-state, 2 from Mr. Bass and 4 from this event and 4 from this event, that was all tied to the old format.
It was.
And I think, to honestly, and this I'm backing up to last week, and the other rabbit hole you sent us down, Kyle, to have a chance at saving the clubs, to have a chance at saving the state nations. I think because you don't qualify to a regional anymore. If you make your spot in your state, you're going to the national. So I think to have a chance to save those clubs, save those nations, you put the other events in state, like the Stong, the team series, and you mix it up a little bit and try to get everybody's corner represented. I tried to do that, over 6 years, but man, it's just the times are changing, and you need to just focus on that. BNC qualifier needs to go somewhere where it can be negotiated. One thing that many don't realize, when we go to November meeting this year and we adopt whatever format, and I will tell you that all 4 formats that have been submitted are all basically the same thing, and that's one weekend. You're going to elect or vote for a format, and it's going to be in place for 2 years.
Which is a huge improvement, by the way.
Yeah. The thinking with that is tournament directors in office, that's 2 years. If you vote the format in as the new tournament director is elected, he has that format for 2 years that he can work with. And that is a huge improvement. Huge deal. If you've never done the job, man, you don't understand how big of a deal that is. Now, if you get into making proposals to communities about hosting your event, now you can say, we're going to come for 2 years.
Yep.
What can we do for 2 years that's going to be mutually beneficial?
Yep.
So yes, there's a place for in-state tournaments with Kansas. Absolutely. Team series, the Stong event, maybe bring back a version of the Mr. Bass for cash.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that BNC needs to go to a larger scale place. I mean, we got to get past all these boundaries and just think regionally.
Kevin Miller posted or commented that why would he go fish a qualifier when he can just pay an entry fee to regionals to try to qualify for nationals? So, Danny, this would be more of a question that you could answer. But how many boats do we average at a qualifier, first of all?
The last few years, I'd say 30.
Okay, so is it better to fish for 6 spots, 5 or 6 spots, 7 spots? Let's just say we average between 5 and 7 based on membership. I don't think we'll ever be more than 7, or probably ever be less than 4 or 5. But is it easier to beat, 1 out of 6 boats, or would it be better to go fish a 250 boat field possibly for how many spots is the Bassmaster Regional now paying?
Paying 20 or
20, but how many?
They send 20 and
20.
pay up to 40.
Yeah, so
I still like
let's say
I still like my odds at a qualifier.
Me too. Like that's why I'm trying to answer his question. Like, would you rather fish against 30 of the guys from your state on a regional sized lake and have a 1 in 6 shot, which is what, 18% or 20 something percent or whatever it is? 1 out of 5 is 20%. So my math was bad there. But or would you rather have a 1 in 10 shot if it's 200 boat field against some of the region's best anglers, including the locals, to try to qualify?
Kevin Miller. Hello from Belize. Kevin, no. If you fish the qualifier at Melbourne next month,
Straight to the Bass Nation Championship.
the top 6 go directly to the nation championship in 2025.
Yep.
You do not go to a regional anymore.
And then the next 10 get a golden ticket to a regional.
Yes, which is
So
basically nothing.
that's what it was last year. We don't know that for next year, right, Danny?
True enough. That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe they've made a change. We can hope
I think
so.
I do know that when I talked to Hank and them guys at the junior national championship, that they said the meeting is going to be a lot of stuff to take in again. So I'm sure there's going to be some tweaks and changes.
Oh, I'm so excited for that.
But at least we only have to go to Grand Lake for this one.
Yeah.
So the first time I'm technically not in a position and I wouldn't technically have to go is the year they have it 2.5 hours away.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm like 4.5 myself. So,
But still, I've been to Hartwell twice, Pickwick once, Red River, or not Red River. Where did we go? Ouachita once, and it's like they finally put it super close, and I'm not technically in a director's role anymore.
yet. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Should I explain this a little more for you guys? That I know it's a lot to. Kyle is over here like, I don't have a clue what the hell they're talking about. And well, Kyle didn't understand that the Muskogee Open Nation Regional, he could have just entered and fished and had a shot to go to national.
No, I didn't. And I figured it out a week before it was time.
Yeah, and right at cutoff. And
I wish I could have swapped you my spot because I paid and didn't even get to go.
I even went so far as to message someone up there. And I'm not going to say who, and it wasn't John because John
Right.
didn't work there. To find out if it were possible to do something like that.
So,
if he could, is it possible for him to get a late entry?
Yep.
And no, because we hadn't done it at the first one. So yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
Okay. Briefly. So we used to fish your state qualifier. And then so many people, it's been so many things over the years, 6, 10, 12, whatever, was your state team. And the state team went to regional. Bass did away with that. Kansas is the last Central Region champion, though. Thank you very much. Now you fish your state qualifier, which is what we call the BNC qualifier. And the amount of boaters and non-boaters that qualify there are based on your membership. We are blessed to have 6 and 6. So from Melbourne next month, the top 6 boaters and the top 6 non-boaters go to the BNC in 2025 because it's actually, it's still a year ahead like it used to be. So you fish that in September, and then next spring, we will all have the opportunity to fish an open regional somewhere around here, Grand or Lake the Ozarks or whatever. Yes, Kyle.
The one thing I will say, and it's just because I'm stupid and I don't know. So I just want to make sure I get this correct.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking me to fish a Kansas qualifier to go to the BNC prior to them announcing where the BNC is at.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
when they set and announced the regional date, the Bass provided regional date, essentially the last chance qualifier date.
Mm-hmm.
The Bass Nation Championship destination will already be set.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe the only benefit to fishing the last chance Bass provided regional.
Right. Yeah.
That's maybe the only reason why I would fish a regional is because, oh crap, I screwed up and said I don't want to go to Melbourne because I don't know where the nation championship's going to be. Maybe I should fish that.
But in the best case scenario, you treat it like a world fishing tour and you have 2 bullets to try to make that championship.
Sure.
So
Sorry, Danny, go ahead.
You're good. You're good because you're helping illustrate what we need to get across. So you fish Melbourne, out Kansas's qualifiers at Melbourne. You fish that in September. You make the top 6 in your division. You're automatically going to the BNC in 2025. Now you miss the cut, whatever. You decide you're going to try again next spring. You will have the opportunity to fish an open regional somewhere in the Four Corners,
Somewhere in the region.
And if you make the top 20 cut, you go to the BNC. You go to the same place. It's supposed to be a northern smallmouth fishery. I knowing a little bit more about how they schedule and how they make contracts, I'm going, is it Champlain? That would be the 3rd event. Is it Saginaw Bay, Michigan? That would be the 3rd event.
what about the one they went to that they just showcased or where it's going to showcase?
Cayuga?
Maybe so. It's possible.
Just saying, those are all options, right?
Right.
Brandon, and we know they love to go to La Crosse too.
Well,
oh yeah, it could be La Crosse.
But they were just there.
Right. And they did tell us last fall that to expect the 2025 BNC, guys, we're getting a year ahead already.
Yep.
So not this coming one, but the one 2025 is going to be a northern smallmouth fishery, and it's supposed to be earlier than they've been doing them normally, in October and November.
I can remember qualifying for the state team on Stockton, and that qualifier was in September that year. And the tournament director or the president of the Bass Nation at that time told us right then and there where the championship was going to be at. Sorry, not the championship. I'm sorry. Where the regional was going to be at. The regional had already been decided. That was nice. At least you know where you're going. Danny, you going to know where we're going by September?
No.
Nope.
We won't know, and we won't know until because we have presidents meetings during the BNC, and that's when they meet with all the nation presidents and youth directors. And I'll know at that meeting, but that's going to be after our qualifier. But it is what it is. It's kind of always been like that. They like to keep it a secret. And well, I always wanted to know where it was. Like I wasn't going to go if I qualified, but you know what I'm saying? You'd rather know ahead of time.
Well,
like what Kevin is saying. Yeah.
That could be a double-edged sword though, right? I mean, like me, I've never been to Hartwell. I've never fished Hartwell. I've been to Hartwell a bunch of times for all this other stuff, but I've never actually got to fish it in a tournament scenario. And I'm not a blue herring guy other than Smith Lake. It's the only time I've ever been on a blue herring fishery. If they announced it was on Hartwell first and knowing that it's 16 hours from my driveway, and that might steer me away from the nation Kansas qualifiers and stuff like that. So
With
Let
me, being
Kyle,
completely
just a second. Just
Go
a
ahead,
second.
man.
Let me, I just want to, because Kevin is the one asking this. That's the cool thing, Kevin, about that's one of the positives I look at for the new format. If you are a nation member in good standing, you can go fish any of the 4 open nation regionals to try to qualify for BNC. So actually, you have 5 opportunities.
you could have up to 5. Yep.
Yeah, you can fish your state championship and make it. If not, you can fish any or all 4 of the nation opens and make it to the BNC.
And you could really take this one step further, and you could be a nation member of multiple states and get even more options to try to make it. So unless you're like maybe in Oklahoma where you have to fish, I think they do 3 or 4 where you have to fish the entire season to try to qualify. But like Arkansas does one big tournament, Missouri does one big tournament, Nebraska does one big one. We hopefully will do one big one, assuming that it gets voted in for 2 years. But it's as long as all these states do one tournament, one weekend, you could have 5 to 10 shots, depending on how much you really want to travel. And the BNC qualifying route through the nations or through the regionals could be the easiest way to a classic, easier than it ever was to try to fish 3 opens.
True. Absolutely true.
I mean, if that's your bucket list is to fish a Bassmaster Classic, that could be, or even make the elites. I mean, it literally could be the most cost-effective fire 10 entries at $300 to $400, depending on the state's prices and stuff. And you used to have to fish 3 opens just to try to make a classic. Like that was $5,600. So, I mean, to me, it's the most cost-effective, easiest route, even though it's still the working man's way and it's still the harder way in according to the statistics. It could technically be the most cost-effective, easiest way.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin, yes, you are correct. I mean, John went for 2 hours on that last week, and that's I'm I'm just gonna let that go because that was wow. But Dennis Buck asking a question: if a person is co-angler, how do you get involved? Honestly, just join a club, pay your dues, do it before August 31st.
Yep.
And enter. That's it. We don't link anymore. We use the Fishing Chaos app. And if you message me, I'll get you the information after we're done here. Evan's correct. Team series is another way to the classic. So, if you wanted to go at it a different way to promote in-state angling.
Yep.
In Kansas is a buddy circuit state. Always has been. We have the same 50 people argue about the qualifier every year, but there's 3 new buddy circuits that start every year too.
Yep.
It's a lot. I do this literally every day. Brad Van Riet's right there with me. Brad gets me the answers that I need to get to you guys. And we can't keep up with it. And we do it all day long, man.
Yep.
And just about the time you get a handle on it, here comes another new roster system.
Or here comes another social media post of Danny scaring the living daylights out of you on the contract you've signed.
Oh.
You freaked me out. I was like, what did I do wrong?
Oh, goodness me.
Oh, good old days.
Kyle, are you okay?
I'm good. I'm just soaking it all in. I'm kind of getting called out a little bit on the comments, so that's cool. But I'm just gonna go ahead and
You are?
maintain radio silence just a little bit.
I must be
think you
missing.
are.
I must be missing this.
I don't see you getting called out. Yeah, Dennis. Yes, it is a lot. Kevin, who's Brad? Yeah.
You guys got a big tournament this weekend, Danny.
Yes, we do.
Is it too late to
And
enter, Danny?
no, it is not too late to enter, especially if you're already a current member.
Let's
If you are already a current member, just show up Saturday morning and bring some money.
There you go.
Where are they showing up and how much money, big guy?
Wilson Team Series. Wilson at the ramp at 5:15. $250 gets you both days of the weekend. Payout will be by day, but it'll be on Sunday afternoon. Team Series is a point thing. Is a point system. So each day is technically a separate event. We have to have a minimum of 4 per our contract. So payout is based on you and your partner's catch for the day. We did the 4-man for a long time, and I love the 4-man, but we decided not to try and, or I decided not to try and pull that off on top of everything else, because I literally started on this team series thing on Memorial Weekend.
The 4-man was a cool concept, but I really feel like you're going to average more boats by not making people have to link with another team. It's hard enough for me to find somebody to go fishing with on the weekend if I can splur it up last minute, let alone try to find
that?
2 extra.
You say that, but they averaged 7 boats. That's the way the team series used to be. Was the way we're doing it this weekend.
Yeah, but don't you have 25 plus boats?
Pino,
Yeah, well, we averaged 28 for the other way. But what I'm saying is that before the 4-man, when it was just the regular old team, hang on, Kyle, we'll get there.
Oh no, I'm just showing Devin Pino the pictures as you guys are talking. You're good.
Before Evan came up with the 4-man, it was the way we're doing it this weekend, and I think it's 7 or 8 boats at the end. So that's why we made the big change with the 4-man and all that, and it ran its course. With things, it seems like with this kind of stuff, you've got to revamp every 3 to 5 years, or it just gets stale. And
Not only does it get stale, I mean the world changes, right? We became more of a last minute society in the last 3 to 5 years than we have.
Oh gosh, yes.
I mean, I used to plan out like I'm gonna go fish the Big Bass Bash, or I'm gonna fish AIA, or I'm gonna, you know what I mean. And now it's like I don't plan out for the whole year. I don't even know what I'm doing Saturday. Trust me, the team series at Wilson is on my mind Saturday, even though I don't think my boat can run all the way to one end of Wilson right now to the other. But I might just come out there and fire if my wife or somebody else would want to go fishing. But
I hear you.
I can't fish Sunday, so I wouldn't be in it for the series championship. But I just really want to go fishing.
Well, you can jackpot.
Yeah, the problem is I'm not that jackpot and me only goes together if I'm playing poker or
I hear you.
a slot machine.
What I'm saying is you don't have to
I
fish
know.
for the points. You can just jackpot each weekend if you want.
Yep.
So if it works out, maybe you come out to Melbourne.
There's a chance you might see me. There's a chance you might see me there Saturday morning.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There is a very big chance, as long as we have softball, baseball stuff on Sunday, so I can't make both days.
I hear you. So guys, John texted me like 45 minutes ago to tell me that he didn't have enough service to get on. He is actually in Iowa fishing with his granddaughter, and they're having a fun trip. I am jealous of this trip. They're camping out and fishing. There's a bunch of little lakes in their area, and they're fishing a different lake each day. And I think tomorrow they're going to fish 2, something like that. Just having a blast. Kyle took his brand new kindergarten boy out on Monday, last day before school started. And how'd you do, Kyle?
It was the freedom trip. It was the freedom trip. We had a blast. We had a good time. We caught a few. Caught some smallmouth. Caught a couple of good largemouth. Finesse fishing 101. It was when I go with him, when I take him, when he comes to me, however you want to say it, like to just kind of put on something easy that may catch some numbers. So we tied on. Hi, buddy.
Hold on, you guys please done talking.
We tied on a little Ned rig. He likes throwing. He's kind of pretty decent at a little Ned rig, and I needed to kind of brush up on my drop shotting skills, so I tied on a little drop shot 7-inch trick worm and just we try to call it going catching instead of going fishing. Definitely makes the day go by a little bit quicker for him and keeps him in tune. And Big Hill was a choice. It was his favorite lake. I'm hoping it'll maybe always be his favorite lake. He likes Big Hill for more than one reason. I've preached to him that that's where I'm from, and that's kind of my happy place, and that's where he wanted to go, so that's where we went. I asked him where he wanted to go as we were pulling out of the driveway. I said, Dad's got a full tank of gas. Where you want to go, kid? He said, let's go to Big Hill. I said, okay, here we go. So smallmouth and largemouth fishing it was.
You going to challenge him? No? All right. I thought he was going to challenge you for a second.
I like a good challenge, I can tell you that.
Did you catch him a walleye?
You going to challenge him? All right, then get out of the camera.
He's trying to sell tickets to that gun show, though, looks like.
Yep.
Yeah, show him the gun show. It'd be like, show him. No? He's like, all right.
Oh, now he's shy. When it's not his idea.
Show him the guns. Yep. This little scrawny guns right there. Little scrawny guns.
That's what I'm talking about.
Keep throwing that whopper plopper, buddy. Maybe those arms get bigger. He likes to throw that big whopper plopper, let me tell you.
Well, a big whopper plopper sometimes provides big success, so.
It does, but man, he was from probably 1.5 years, 2 years old. Whenever he was big enough to actually make a cast, he was throwing that freaking whopper plopper, and he'd call it his plop plop before he was old enough to really understand what he was throwing.
Well, I realized yesterday that a whopper plopper / El Chapo does not work very well on a super low gear ratio reel. So I've got to invest a little bit of money in a new rod for Max George, because I had the boat on spot lock. It's not like we were heading towards going towards the cast or anything, and he could not keep that sucker on top. So I learned that I didn't know any better, but they actually have reels, the Zebco style reels that are higher gear ratio. So he's got to get himself a new combo picked out, because we got to do better.
Get him throwing a bait caster. How old is he? 5?
6.
6? He can do it.
I was backlashing a lot of Shimano's Bantams back in the day.
Oh yeah.
It was the Bantam, that little teeny tiny spool, and
about the size of this mouse.
Yeah, they were pretty small, and my dad was, I don't know if he was just thought it'd be a good idea for him to teach us how to do that, or if he was just glutton for punishment with a pair of scissors waiting on us to backlash. But they've
got some of those new spools out there though that are I'm trying to remember who all makes one, but they have
Is
they're basically finesse. They're finesse bass. They're basically finesse bait casters. They don't hold much line, and they're great for kids to learn on.
Well, I've got to do a better job. I've got to do a better job as a guide because that was pitiful yesterday. But he mainly threw a Ned rig, and he bounced around a little 7-inch trick worm quite a bit, and then he put that head killer, that El Chapo, on, and he brushes my head with that rod once, and the El Chapo went back in the box because I was afraid I was going to get a head full of trouble. So,
Been there.
yeah. So we went over there yesterday. We didn't leave too terribly early. I let him sleep in a little bit and kind of we had a storm kind of pass through, and I didn't know what it was going to do. So I let it kind of pass through, and we eased over there and fished for a few hours. Had the lake to ourselves for a little bit, which was nice. Enjoyed the nice weather. Enjoyed the day. Can't ask for a much better deal on a Monday.
Right.
Sounds awesome.
I posted a couple pictures on Facebook. Kind of got a kick out of some of the reactions of that because I've never blacked out any of the background before in my life. Never have. And had one we put one on the scale yesterday, weighed 512. I blacked the background out, and boy, do I get a reaction. What are those things? Black bushes? I know exactly where you're fishing. There's no need for that kind of deal. Yada, 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 yada. Just the lip service carried on for quite a little bit in the comments. And all I can say is mission accomplished. I told one of the guys that was commenting at me to leave my pets alone. So.
Hey, Kyle, you mentioned earlier that you don't know how to help the algorithm on Facebook and TikTok. You may have just found an answer.
Black out the background.
Sometimes those blacked out or blurred out backgrounds drive people nuts. They have to comment.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the absolute king of blacked out background is Devin Pino. He has made some absolute masterpiece pictures and posted them. I mean, I'd hang them on my wall. Beautiful.
Honestly, I'll see if I'll try it, and if it works, it works. I was doing it to be kind of ornery a little bit, but I was also doing it because I didn't want somebody seeing the background, and I wanted to post it to my social media. It was an extremely obvious spot. I can tell you, I caught it on we reeled it in, and it was literally caught on a drop shot on a 7-inch trick worm, green pumpkin. And both of us had a shocked look on our face when it jumped out of the water because we couldn't believe it was that big. So there you have it.
Well, awesome.
Get old drop shotting.
It was fun. It was just simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Yesterday was about keeping it simple, stupid. Yesterday was more than just about fishing to begin with. You know what I mean?
Sure it was.
So
sure it was.
Keep it as simple as possible. Take the simplest baits to just go get bites. Fish the community holes. There's a bass sitting around on, and just go laugh and have a good time.
Yeah, you don't care if it's 8 inches or if it's a freaking 5-pounder.
Travis, Kevin is asking. I know you've got some things in the works. What WFT is going to look like next year?
WFT is on its way to being pretty crazy next year. We are starting in January on Lake Kiwi in South Carolina, possibly Lake Hartwell as well if they get this ramp done on the new Clemson ramp. Then we go to Harris Chain, Florida, possibly Lake Seminole if that contract ever finishes up like it's supposed to. Then we make it to Caddo Lake in March. We will sneak in Grand at some point. I'm sure Brent and everybody at the Grove Chamber of Commerce should hopefully want us back. Don't know if we're going back to Table Rock. The numbers at Table Rock have just not grown the way they should. We will go back to Bull Shoals. We just finalized those dates last week in May. Then I'm trying to remember where else. We've got Buffalo, New York. We've got Maine. We've got Syracuse. We've got Ohio, Indiana.
Wow.
I will be at least 100 days of tournaments next year, not to mention KBN boat captaining for the KBN youth, and also running hopefully the KBN adult program too. So
Wow.
it will be a very interesting year.
In your spare time.
Yeah, right. We're not just gonna go places that don't want us anymore. So like, never been paid at Table Rock. I've gotten free rooms at Table Rock. That's it. If Table Rock doesn't want to compensate for tournaments to come, then we just won't be going back. So I don't ask for an arm and a leg. I just want my costs covered. The first 2 years I covered everything, prize pools, cost, everything, labor. So if we can just cover our costs going forward, not take any cost from anglers is our whole goal. So if a city will at least cover the cost for bringing them revenue, we will definitely go back. We love Grand Lake, we love Truman, we love Ozarks, we love Table Rock, we love all those lakes, right? So a little disappointed that we might not be able to go back to Table Rock, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes from here.
Awesome.
But everywhere else, I think we'll be going back to that we've ever been to.
You got a full plate next year, Bo.
I do.
That's incredible. I mean, that sounds fun, but
yeah.
Wow.
You got to figure we're going to we're doing LBA starts on the 9th of January, and then that's 9th and 10th, and then we'll start World Fishing Tour the 11th through like the 18th. I'm not even pulling the trucks and trailers home. We're finding staging facilities.
Yeah.
Flying home, enjoying family and stuff, because if not, we're going to be on the road all the time.
No, yeah, I wouldn't pull. There's no reason to. If you're going to start in Florida, you might as well leave the trailer in Florida.
Yeah. So yeah, we're literally going to go South Carolina, Georgia, Florida.
Yeah.
Then drive it back to Louisiana, stage it, unless I find another event before then, because you never know. We might be in Mississippi or Alabama before then. Who knows? But the goal is to logistically schedule as best as we can and fly home in between, and then try to be in this Ozark, Kansas, Missouri area most of the summer. And then once it gets hot, go north. So there's a really cool site out there called Play Easy, and it's a site that's for booking softball tournaments, track and field, shooting, doesn't matter, fishing tournaments, anything that brings cities revenue. And I put our stuff out there, and it's just it's went crazy. So I mean, China Lake in Maine wants us to come. So don't know if you've ever heard of China Lake in Maine. I don't even want to Google how many hours away it is, because that would talk me out of going. But they want us there like in October or November next year, because apparently it's supposed to be amazing.
Well, maybe you ought to give it a shot.
Oh, don't worry. The contract might already be signed.
Oh, so cool. That's next year. What's left for this year? This
year we have Truman Lake in October, November. It starts at the end of October and finishes, I think, November 4th. And then we have Lake of the Ozarks, I believe, in December. We were supposed to go to Washington, but they weren't able to figure out their state law situation on being able to have a tournament that lasted more than 4 days. So that's going to come off the schedule. But,
and then you have the Ladies Classic is
Grand Lake Lodge at Grand Lake of the Cherokees, October 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
So it would be cool if anybody's going to be on Grand Lake, practicing for an event that weekend, because we're not there on the weekend. But if you come in on Thursday or Friday to come support the ladies, they they're a pretty cool group of ladies. I mean, if you ever get to see it in person, it's a little bit different. It's not a normal weigh-in. Like, they want to kill each other out on the water, but then they'll clap each other when they get beat. Like, it's different.
I love that girl. What's her name? Carly Joe.
Carly Joe Previtt.
Man, she holds them fish up and then she always gums one.
Dude, the first time she did that, I was like, what is this kid doing? Did you see the very last one at Gunnersville?
I don't know if I did or not.
So I was talking to her mom and I said, I think she has something here for a non-endemic sponsor, right? She's putting fish in her mouth. None of us know if that's safe or not. Like, we don't know what a fish's slime coat or internal mouth would do to our, system, right? And I was like, I forgot who mentioned it. Somebody was like, the girl needs some mouthwash. And I said, I think you're onto something. Like, so mom went and got a thing of Scope and a thing of, what's the other major white mouthwash?
Oh, Listerine or something
Listerine,
like that.
or yeah, one of the other name brands. She brought me two. I told her, I said, next time you're at the hardware store, Walmart, anything that sells those little airplane size liquor bottle looking mouthwashes, grab a few, those travel sizes. And so I keep them on the stage. And last time I was like, I know you're not sponsored by Scope, but we don't know what that fish's slime coat or whatever will do to you. So she took a swig of that thing and went out towards the crowd. And
that's funny.
It didn't go viral, but it's the chances we're trying to create, right? Who knows? That video could go viral, and Scope could be like, heck yeah, we want that kid.
Sweet.
So.
Oh, good night, guys.
See, yeah.
We went.
I'm so done.
It's your turn. It's your turn to be tired. I was dragging last week. Last week was grandbaby day, so Hawk Tua, Kevin Miller. Oh man. Travis, what else you want to tell us tonight? Why don't you come back and update us later on?
Anytime, man. I'm free to jump on as much as I can, except for when I'm entertaining my wife in Colorado for a week for her birthday.
Good job on that, by the way. I enjoyed that trip vicariously through your Facebook.
I've never done the 2-day concert thing, and it was not a 2-day normal concert either. It was a 2-day Christian concert, and honestly, it wasn't really looking extremely forward to that part of the trip. Like, I was looking forward to the mountains and the 4-wheeling and all the stuff we did, but it was very good, man. Cool. It was a pretty good show.
Glad you got the opportunity.
Red Rock. If you ever get a chance to go to Red Rock to see a show. Find your favorite band if they're going there and go see a show. It's a cool experience.
I've heard a lot of people say that. Kyle, are you awake?
Dude, it's been a long day. I'm not gonna lie.
I understand. Hey, man, for what we charge these guys, they damn sure get their money's worth when they tune into the Idle Zone Syndicate.
They get the heart and the soul, buddy.
Well, I appreciate you guys having us on and or having me on, but it has been a couple hours and my phone's down to 6% even plugged in.
I understand. I got to get out of here because I might go pre-fish tomorrow.
Where are you going? Wilson. Nice.
I hope.
DD, best of luck, guy.
Well, thank you.
Travis,
Brad,
thank you very much.
Brad is the one that needs the luck. Now, we know that he had a 5-star Michelin mechanic work on his Skeeter the other day. So we're not worried about equipment, but we need Brad to have a good luck trip because every time we fish together, we have fun, but we have something happen. And we don't need anything like that to happen. We need to have a good time. So
speaking of those 5-star mechanics, Kyle, you working on Evan Rids or no?
Just depends, buddy.
It's throwing a hot water alarm.
Yeah.
And it smelt a little burnt after running it a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. What should I be looking forward to?
At least, if anything, an impeller. Did you hit something?
Yeah, but I don't think it hit the motor. Like it was a super, super small log. And it started it started overheating right before that. So
Yeah. We can talk about it after we get off the live.
all right, sounds good, man.
So, hey, before we go, let's all give Kevin Miller a round of applause for his recent retirement. He is retired fully now.
You know, I will say
Congrats.
He was at
retirement
St.
is kind of
Clair 2 weeks ago, and now he's in Belize, and he's going to pull that dang boat all the way from Belize to Wilson. Can you believe it?
Is that the Kevin Miller that was just delivering a boat to Deion Sanders a couple weeks ago too?
I don't know about that.
that sounds like a heck of a story in itself.
Is that
Oh, my.
Kevin? Is this Kevin that fishes MPFL too?
You know, that
No.
if Kevin Miller is
No.
delivering a boat to Deion Sanders, he delivered that to Colorado because Deion ought to be coaching some Buffaloes here in a bit, ain't it?
I might have the last name wrong, but somebody who fishes MPFL that's from Kansas City area. Used to be a big crappie guy. Thought his name was Kevin Miller as well, but I'm probably drawing a blank. But he just delivered a boat. He just delivered a boat to Prime Time like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Whoever it was.
Nice.
Rogers,
Cool.
Kevin Rogers. Yeah, it was Kevin Rogers. My bad.
Oh, goodness. All right. Guys, as always, thanks for watching, putting up with our shenanigans. Dude, I even made a Bigfoot cover photo. And we didn't get into Bigfoot or UFOs or nothing. I'm a little disappointed, honestly.
Maybe next week.
So next time.
That's why we need to
We're
take
gonna
something to Bull Shoals. There's Bigfoot at Big Shoals. You never seen those statues down there?
Oh, yeah. I like
those random silhouettes. You've been out there fishing 8 hours, haven't seen a boat all day because there's nobody out on Bull Shoals ever. It seems like even on the weekends, that's just one reason why I like that lake. But you'll see these random like silhouettes, those metal thin carved 8-foot tall Bigfoots, and it's just really cool.
Awesome.
We'll see you guys later.
Later, guys.